former U.S. intelligence contractor told Circa News that he walked away with more than 600 million classified documents on 47 hard drives from the National Security Agency and the CIA, a haul potentially larger than Edward Snowden's now infamous breach. And now he is suing former FBI Director James Comey and other government figures, alleging the Bureau has covered up evidence that he provided them showing widespread spying on Americans that violated civil liberties. Now, here's why this is such an interesting story, which, by the way, this should be a major story. But, of course, they're all on, oh, Comey. Well, the FISA court has just said that the FBI has been basically breaking the law nonstop for the past several years under James Comey. Now, you can, use the Obama defense here, and James Comey goes, I didn't know that was happening. Or you can do what we usually do, and you're the commander of the ship, dude. Everything that happens is your responsibility. It really depends on which camp you're in. Either Comey is incompetent and inept, or Comey is complicit. Which one is it? You choose. I'm not going to choose for you. I have my own ideas. So the FISA court has basically said, and we've covered this too, and this, again, just whispers, no coverage of this in major media at all, that you have the FBI constantly violating the constitutional rights of Americans, illegally spying on them when, in fact, they were not allowed to do so. And not only that, taking Americans' personal information that they weren't allowed to gather to begin with and handing it over to third parties, including government contractors, which is another violation of the law. And that this happened, according to the FISA court, hundreds of times, and they believe a lot more than that. Now, again, just like what we talk about with the Democratic IT staffer story, in what world is the fact that a federal agency is illegally spying on the American people and the court that is tasked with overseeing it is telling the entire world, yes, this happened a lot, and we think it happened a lot more than we know about? In what world, in what realm of the universe is that not a story? Where you have the FISA court telling you the FBI is illegally spying on Americans and giving that information illegally to third parties. In what realm does CNN and MSNBC and everybody else not cover it? I mean, you know which realm, ours. But, every other realm is totally covered, I promise. So the lawsuit, which was filed late Monday night by Dennis Montgomery, was assigned to the same federal judge who has already ruled that some of the NSA's collection of data on Americans violates the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment, which, of course, I told you before we had that ruling was the case. And then, of course, I was vindicated in spite of being attacked for that. Setting up an intriguing legal proceeding in the nation's capital this summer, Montgomery says that the evidence that he gave to the FBI Chronicle, the warrantless collection of phone, financial, and personal data, and the unmasking of identities in spy data about millions of Americans. So you have this guy who used to be an intelligence contractor who says, I walked away with 600 million classified documents on 47 hard drives from the NSA and the CIA. And then I gave information to the FBI that there was illegal spying happening and that Americans' rights were being violated. And James Comey and the FBI did diddly squat about it. And so now he's filing a lawsuit. And so some people are like, well, yeah, but he stole a bunch of intelligence and things like that. Sure, I don't know what the circumstances of all of this is and whether or not he faces any legal repercussions. But we do know that what he's alleging has been completely corroborated by the FISA court. So the FISA court says all of this was happening. This guy says he has 600 million classified documents that proved it was happening, and he told the FBI and James Comey about it, and they didn't do anything. They covered it up. So he's filed a lawsuit. More details on that coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Don't forget, in the 5 o'clock hour, we have the latest update on Michigan constitutional carry. Some major developments today. We'll talk about that at 5:05. Right now, we're talking about James Comey being sued by a former intelligence contractor. 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So once again, quick little recap here. We have a former U.S. intelligence contractor says that he walked away with 600 million classified documents on 47 hard drives from the NSA and the CIA, and that he is suing former FBI Director James Comey and other government figures, alleging that the FBI covered up the evidence that he gave them, showing widespread spying on Americans that violated civil liberties. Now, I don't know what potential laws he broke, because at this point, he's a whistleblower and he's not actually giving information to the public. So I don't know what shielding he may or may not have here. But he says he got 600 million files proving that there was illegal surveillance of Americans without warrants. The FISA court has said, yes, this has been going on for many, many years under James Comey's FBI. He says that he provided that evidence to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and that Comey and others in the intelligence community swept it under the rug. Now, of course, we now know they probably swept it under the rug because the FISA court says, yeah, the FBI was in on it. So this guy is suing, claiming that they covered this up, and it's not a conspiracy. I mean, I don't know how true what he is claiming directly is, but we do know that the FISA court has already said that what this guy is alleging in this lawsuit is factually true. The question is, does it rise to the extent that he is claiming? Because the FISA court was able to identify hundreds of examples of the FBI doing it. That has nothing to do with the NSA or the CIA. It's just the FBI. But they said that they believe there is a lot more. So anyway, this domestic surveillance was all being done on computers supplied by the FBI. That's what Montgomery told Circa in an interview. So these supercomputers, which are FBI computers, the CIA is using them to do domestic surveillance, which could potentially be a problem. Documents obtained by Circa outside of the lawsuit show that the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington in 2015 approved a grant of limited immunity for Montgomery so he could explain how he managed to walk out of his contract in the building that he worked at with classified material. So in 2015, this guy got some immunity for this. So he's at least being shielded partly by the whistleblower law. So this isn't some kook on the internet who's like, I totally got a bunch of this stuff. This guy's legitimate. Again, in what world where you have the FISA court telling everybody the FBI is breaking the law and illegally spying on Americans and giving that data to third parties is not a story? And then in what realm, in what world do you have a former intelligence contractor coming in who has already been granted some immunity in 2015 to go ahead and expose this stuff? So he's getting whistleblower protections, saying that, yeah, it's not just the FBI, it's the NSA and the CIA, and they all covered it up when I tried to fix it. Montgomery alleges that more than 20 million American identities were illegally unmasked. Credit cards, emails, phone conversations, and internet traffic were some of the items the NSA and CIA collected. It's just metadata, though, folks. He said that he returned the hard drives to the FBI, a fact that is confirmed in government documents. Circa was able to independently confirm all of this. They're doing this domestic surveillance on Americans, running a project on U.S. soil, Montgomery alleged. He did not disclose the classified name of the project, but said that he revealed all aspects of the project during his interview with the FBI. Quote, can you imagine that what somebody can do with the information that they were collecting on Americans? Can you imagine that kind of power? The answer is no. Most Americans can't, which is why politicians were able to sell. It's just metadata. Because most Americans are like, well, what can you do with metadata? Well, literally anything. It's a heck of a lot more dangerous than getting your actual phone calls. Officials with the FBI and CIA declined to comment due to current and pending litigation. The FBI contacts with Montgomery were encouraged by a senior status federal judge who encouraged the two sides to meet rather than allow any of the classified material to leak, according to interviews Circa conducted. Montgomery's lawsuit, which included his lawyer, the well-known conservative activist Larry Klayman, alleges Montgomery provided extensive evidence to the FBI of illegal spying on Americans, ranging from judges to businessmen like the future president, Donald Trump. It doesn't say Trump was a part of this. It says like Donald Trump. Important distinction, folks. The suit did not offer specifics of any illegal spying, but it accused the Bureau of failing to take proper action to rectify Montgomery's concerns. And again, the FISA court has essentially corroborated what this guy is saying. Then you throw in there that you've got judges giving him immunity. He's not trying to leak this information to the press. He took the information as evidence, and he used whistleblower protections to keep him from going to prison. And he brought the evidence from one intelligence agency to the FBI and said, here's proof that they're doing everything that I'm alleging, and the FBI swept it under the rug, he says. Which the FISA court has just told us in the past 2 weeks has absolutely happened at least hundreds of times under James Comey, but they believe a lot more. So this is, again, a major story. And all anybody can talk about, oh, James Comey, what's he going to do? Is he going to hurt the president tomorrow? We've already read his testimony, his opening statements. Now, we don't have the question and answer stuff because that happens at 10 a.m. tomorrow. But his opening statements, there's nothing there. But another major giant scandal is happening that the American media is choosing to not cover and completely ignore. So what happened with constitutional carry in Michigan? I'll tell you next on 95.3 MNC.
WTRC-FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.